Robert Lewandowski scored twice with Lamine Yamal and Rafinha also getting on the scoresheet as Barcelona thrashed Real Madrid away to extend their lead over the bitter rivals to 6 points at the top of La Liga. Kylian Mbappe, playing in his first ever El Clasico, had efforts in each half ruled out for offside on a shocking night for the hosts in the Spanish capital. Lewandowski missed two gilt-edged opportunities to get what would have been a famous hat trick before Jude Bellingham and Mbappe spurned opportunities to get Real Madrid back in the game. Lewandowski was also involved in Barcelona's third goal, which saw Yamal crash home to net his first El Clasico goal, before Rafinha chipped Andre Lunin late on to add insult to injury on an embarrassing night for the home side. Barcelona striker Lewandowski opened, scored from a superb pass by Marc Casado in the 54th minute, and headed in a second goal 3 minutes later to silence the Santiago Bernabeu. Those were goals no 16 and 17 overall for the Poland striker this season, taking his league best tally to 14. He also hit the post. Yamal made it a rout in the 77th minute when the teenage phenom rifled a shot from an angle over Lunin. Rafinha got involved in the burgundy and blue party when he broke free with Madrid pressing forward and chipped Lunin in the 84th minute. Mbappe had a frustrating first game against Barcelona in a white shirt. The France star was repeatedly caught offside by Barcelona's synchronized back four and failed to beat second-choice goalkeeper Inaki Peña one-on-one with his team down by 2 goals. Hansi Flick, meanwhile, had a night to remember in the first Clásico for the German coach. Barcelona opened a 6-point lead at the top of La Liga over second-placed Madrid after 11 rounds of fixtures. Alex Merritt returned after more than a month out, while Billy Gilmour continued to deputize for injured Stanislav Lobotka, but David Neres and Cyril Ngonge got their first Serie A starts. Lecce were reeling after a 6-0 defeat to Fiorentina, where Antonino Gallo was sent off and therefore suspended here, plus injured Frederick Gilbert, Kevin Bonifazi, Medan Berisha, Luis Hassa, and Filip Marchwinski. Following a couple of weak Ngonge and Neres efforts, Napoli thought they had taken the lead on 26 minutes. Giovanni Di Lorenzo had nodded back the Gilmour crossfield pass for Ngonge to force a Vladimiro Falcone save, then turned in the wayward Scott McTominay follow-up, but the captain was offside. Gilmour's disguised pass released McTominay for a shot charged down by Kielanda Gaspar, but Lecce were a huge danger on the counter-attack from that corner. First, Santiago Pierotti was sent clear on goal only for Matias Oliveira to make a crucial block. Then on that set play, Merritt flew to parry the Federico Bacharado header, with Gaspar's follow-up cleared off the line by Alessandro Buongiorno. Falcone palmed Ngonge's left-foot scorcher over the bar, and Lukaku couldn't keep the finish down from 5 yards after a knockdown. EPA 11684998, Napoli's midfielder, Scott McTominay, in action during the Italian Serie A soccer match, SSC Napoli versus US Lecce, at Diego Armando Maradona Stadium in Naples, Italy, 26th of October 2024. EPA EFE Ciro Fusco, there was controversy on 61 minutes when Matteo Politano headed from a corner and then Lamek Banda crashed into him, but the referee judged it to be an accidental clash of heads, and VAR did not recommend a review. Buongiorno risked an own goal with a wayward defensive header, but Napoli finally took the lead on 73 minutes. McTominay got his head to a Politano corner, forcing a tricky save out of Falcone, and Di Lorenzo was quicker than Nikola Kristovic to pounce on the rebound from point-blank range. It could have been 2 moments later, Lukaku controlling a long Buongiorno pass and pulling it back for Giacomo Raspadori to blast over the bar, while Kristovic hit a scorcher just wide from distance, and Patrick Dorgu saw his assist cut out when he should have gone for goal. Lecce scored only 3 times in 9 rounds, so it is not hard to see where their problems lie. Di Lorenzo was also fortunate to avoid a second yellow card in stoppages for his foul on Ante Rebic just outside the box. The match burst into life in the 15th minute when Doan silenced the home crowd. The Japanese international found himself at the far post to nod home a precise cross from Vincenzo Grifo, giving Freiburg a shock lead and ending Leipzig's impressive run of clean sheets at 509 minutes. The goal energized the visitors, who continued to press and create chances, with Junior Adamu narrowly missing an opportunity to double their advantage. As the first half progressed, Leipzig gradually found their rhythm. Benjamin Šeško came close to equalizing, but Noah Atebolu in the Freiburg goal was equal to the task, making a series of impressive saves to maintain his side's lead going into the break. The young goalkeeper's heroics included crucial stops from Šeško and Christoph Baumgartner, frustrating Leipzig's attempts to level the score. Just 2 minutes into the second half, Orban rose highest to head home a Benjamin Henrichs cross, bringing Leipzig level and reigniting the home supporters. The equalizer shifted the momentum firmly in Leipzig's favor, and they began to dominate proceedings. Their persistence paid off in the 58th minute when Geertruida netted his first goal for the club, capitalizing on a swift counterattack to give Leipzig the lead. As Freiburg pushed for an equalizer, spaces began to open up for Leipzig's pacey attackers. Openda, who had been a constant threat throughout the match, finally got his reward in the 79th minute. The Belgian striker showcased his blistering pace and clinical finishing, racing clear of the Freiburg defense before coolly slotting past Atubolu to secure a 3-1 victory and send Leipzig to the summit of the Bundesliga ahead of pre-matchday 8 leaders Bayern Munich's trip to Bochum. While several Leipzig players shone in this comeback victory, Openda's performance stood out. The Belgian forward was a constant menace to the Freiburg defense, using his pace to create chances and stretch the opposition. His goal in the 79th minute not only showcased his individual brilliance, but also effectively sealed the win for Leipzig. Openda's movement off the ball and link-up play were crucial in Leipzig's attacking fluidity, and his ability to perform in such a high-stakes match demonstrates his importance to the team's title aspirations. Malen strikes early, Augsburg 0-1, Borussia Dortmund goals. 0-1 Malen 4 assist, Guirassy, 1-1, Claude Maurice 25, 2-1 Claude Maurice 50. The match exploded into life almost immediately, with Dortmund seizing the initiative in the 4th minute. Daniel Malen combined brilliantly with Serhou Guirassy on the edge of the area before unleashing a crisp, confident finish into the top corner, leaving Nedeljko Labrovic with no chance. The early goal seemed to galvanize the visitors, who dominated possession and looked to build on their advantage. Claude Maurice levels the score. As the half progressed, Augsburg gradually found their footing, with Marius Wolf and Frank Onyeka winning crucial tackles. Their persistence paid off in the 25th minute when Claude Maurice announced his arrival in spectacular fashion. The Frenchman, picked out by Wolf, received the ball and unleashed a powerful low drive from 30 yards out. The shot, while not the most powerful, was perfectly placed, nestling into the bottom corner past a diving Gregor Kobel. The equalizer energized the home side and their supporters, setting the stage for an enthralling contest. Augsburg seized control. The second half began with Augsburg in the ascendancy, and it didn't take long for them to capitalize. Just 5 minutes after the restart, Claude Maurice struck again. A well-worked move involving Elvis Rexbecaj set up the Frenchman, who showed remarkable composure to curl a delightful shot beyond Kobel and into the far corner. The goal sent the WWK arena into raptures and left Dortmund reeling. The visitors' woes were compounded when Julian Ryerson was forced off with an injury, leading to the Bundesliga debut of 18-year-old Almujera Kabar. Dortmund's frustrations mount. Despite dominating possession, Dortmund struggled to create clear-cut chances against a well-organized Augsburg defense. Jamie Gittens came closest to equalizing, but his effort from close range was expertly saved by Labrovic. Nuri Sahin introduced Maximilian Bayer and Pascal Gross in an attempt to change the tide, but Augsburg's resolute defending, led by Jeffrey Gaulu, held firm. As the match entered its final stages, Dortmund's frustrations boiled over. Kabar, having only been on the pitch for 31 minutes, received his marching orders after picking up a second yellow card for pulling Rexbecaj's jersey, effectively ending any hopes of a late comeback. In a performance that will long be remembered by Augsburg fans, Claude Maurice was the undoubted star of the show. Making his first start for the club, the Frenchman displayed clinical finishing and remarkable composure, scoring with both of his shots on target. His 2 goals, each showcasing different aspects of his skill set, were instrumental in turning the tide of the match. Claude Maurice's ability to influence the game, despite limited possession, underlines his efficiency and impact, making him a worthy player of the match. City wasted no time at all in exposing a fragile Southampton defense with a goal inside 5 minutes. Bernardo played Matheus Nunes in behind the Saints' defense, and the Portuguese crossed into the 6-yard box, where Haaland wrestled in front of his marker to fire past Aaron Ramsdale and put the Blues 1-0 up. It was Nunes' fourth assist of the season, and all 4 have been for Haaland. It was the Norwegians' 14th goal of the campaign, and ended a run of 3 Premier League games without a goal. The next 20 minutes passed largely without incident, and neither keeper was seriously tested. Savino was a box of tricks down the right flank, effortlessly gliding past Southampton defenders, and on one occasion weaving through several challenges before being tackled as he was about to shoot. All the while, just a goal behind, Southampton remained firmly in the contest. Kovacic saw a snapshot scrambled clear by Ramsdale a minute before the break, and Saints almost snatched an equalizer with the last action of the first 45, when Cameron Archer raced clear, only to see his rising shot hit the crossbar. If City had needed a reminder that this game was far from over, that was surely it. It had been a first half that failed to ignite as expected after that early Haaland strike. City came out looking energized and almost doubled the lead 25 seconds after the restart. Nice work by Savinho saw him cut inside on the halfway line before feeding Phil Foden, who saw his low shot whistle a few inches past the right-hand post. 3 minutes later, Haaland saw a header cleared off the line and then sent another headed effort straight at Ramsdale seconds later. It seemed like the Blues were upping the ante and looking for what could potentially be a killer second goal as quickly as possible. Then Savinho sent in a deliciously teasing cross to the far post, only for Haaland to prod just wide. City continued to dominate without testing Ramsdale too often. Southampton packed their penalty area with 10 players whenever the Blues were attacked, which was for the majority of the half, before launching the occasional counterattack. It resulted in a tense last few minutes, with the visitors throwing caution to the wind in search of a shock equalizer that, thankfully, never came, or ever seemed looked likely to. Saints, however, will take pride in a performance that suggested they will eventually pull away from the bottom 3 if today's standards are maintained. City came out looking energized and almost doubled the lead 25 seconds after the restart. Nice work by Savinho saw him cut inside on the halfway line before feeding Phil Foden, who saw his low shot whistle a few inches past the right-hand post. 3 minutes later, Haaland saw a header cleared off the line and then sent another headed effort straight at Ramsdale seconds later. It seemed like the Blues were upping the ante and looking for what could potentially be a killer second goal as quickly as possible. Matheus Cunha will hope he's breathed new life into Wolves' season by firing home an invaluable equalizer 3 minutes into stoppage time at Brighton and Hove Albion. Like so often this season, the Old Gold gave a good account of themselves at the Amex, but trailed to Danny Welbeck's goal and thought their chances had gone when Evan Ferguson doubled the home side's lead on 85 minutes. However, Wolves' luck finally turned in those choosing stages. Ryan Ait-Nouri lashed home to reduce the deficit, and then deep into injury time, Cunha's strike took a huge deflection off Jan Paul van Hecke before hitting the underside of the crossbar on its way in. A deserved first point since August for Gary O'Neill's side. For much of the opening half, things had gone according to plan for Wolves. They'd been solid, compact, and offered Brighton few opportunities, and actually should have played much of it as the leading side. The main early chance belonged to O'Neill's squad. After Cunha impressively rolled Joel Veltman, he was in down the left and picked out Tommy Doyle, arriving around the penalty spot, but he curled over when unmarked, despite the ball falling to his favored right foot. The Seagulls couldn't match that for chance quality for much of the half, with Welbeck heading on to the roof of the net and Carlos Baliba having a long-distance effort turned around the post by Sa. Nelson Semedo had kept Karu Mitoma quiet in his defensive role and shot straight at Bart Verbruggen on one of a number of flurries forward. The one time Mitoma did get in, Santiago Bueno pushed him wide so his effort flew over the bar. It was Wolves defending during the first 45, which made the opening goal all the more frustrating. Sa's kick was poor, straight to Ferdi Kadioglu, who fed Jorginho Rutter. He in turn slid in Welbeck, who confident stroked across Sa and into the goal for the opening goal. Halftime, Brighton 1-0 Wolves. For much of the second half, Wolves took the game to Brighton but couldn't find a way through. Kuna twice threatened, first when his cross was inches away from Jorgen Strand Larsen, and then when he stung the palms of Verbruggen. Strand Larsen, fresh from 2 goals in recent weeks, then headed a Kuna cross into the hands of Verbruggen. The halftime introduction of Pablo Sarabia made a difference too, and both Bueno and Craig Dawson had headed attempts from crosses, courtesy of the Spaniard. Wolves had been the side in control for nearly all of the half, so the familiar sinking feeling of a second Brighton goal was cruel. Fresh legs from Tariq Lamptey carried the ball into the box, and Ferguson was able to fire across goal and into the far corner. However, that wasn't that for Wolves. Sarabia's corner 2 minutes later was attacked by Dawson, and although he couldn't turn home, Ait Nouri lashed the loose ball through a crowd of bodies and into the net, and Wolves were back where they were, a goal behind. Is Ipswich Town's Premier League return doomed? For the most glorious period, it briefly promised to be everything they had hoped for. 2 goals ahead, with their fans reveling in what looked set to be a triumphant trip to the Big Smoke, the visitors could start picturing the reality of a first top-flight win since April 2002. The bubble rapidly burst when Brentford took a 3-2 lead and Harry Clarke was sent off, only for Liam Delap to grab the unlikeliest of late equalizers. With the clock almost run its course, Brian Mbeumo sent in a speculative cross deep in injury time that evaded everyone and somehow made its way into the Ipswich net. A frantic 4-3 win for the hosts, and another result that will be difficult for Ipswich fans to swallow. Bournemouth striker Evanilson scored with the last touch of the game to rescue a point at Aston Villa in the Premier League. The Cherries were given a free kick 6 minutes into stoppage time, and with everybody, including the goalkeeper, forward, Marcus Tavernier found an unmarked Evanilson at the near post, and Bournemouth's record signing flicked a header into the far corner. Villa had been the better side and went ahead in the 76th minute when Ross Barkley hooked in Leon Bailey's header back across goal. Earlier, John McGinn had a strike ruled out in the 28th minute after a long video assistant referee (VR) review. McGinn converted Ollie Watkins' cutback, but it was ruled that the ball had narrowly rolled out of play for a Bournemouth goal kick just before Watkins gathered possession. Despite Villa's dominance, Cherries substitute Evanilson had the final word, scoring for just the second time since he joined Bournemouth from Porto in August for a club record £40.2 million fees. Aston Villa manager Unai Emery told BBC Match of the Day that, of course, his side deserved to win. "It's painful, but we have to accept it," he added.